Okay, so this is our one of our last properties for exponents. We're going to talk about power of a quotient, and so how do we work with something that's a division problem. This is very similar to power of a power, or product, power of a product, except we're dealing with division. And so we're going to have that same property where for basically what we're going to do is we're just going to distribute and multiply. Okay? So this would turn into a to the n all over b to the n. And so let's look at example with numbers and see how this kind of works. So if I had 2/3 squared, that's the same as 2/3 times 2/3. Well, we have our exponents of 1 for each term, so now we use one of our other properties. We have two terms with the same base, 2 and 2. What do we do with the exponents? We add them. So the numerator would end up being 2 squared, and the denominator would end up being 3 squared. That's the same as taking this 2, multiplying it with the 1 here, and doing the same with the 1 right there. So that's how this property works. So let's use this and do a couple examples with variables. So if I have x over y raised to the third power, we got to remember that when it's a variable without any exponent listed, there's the same thing as it being raised to the first power. I'm going to go ahead and just multiply. What's 1 times 3? Well, that's 3. So I'd end up with x cubed all over y cubed. Okay? So now what happens if I have another situation where maybe the exponents on the inside have more than just this 1 here? So let's go ahead and do that. So let's get a couple other. And so let's come up with another example. And what we're going to have is, let's just do x cubed all over y to the fifth raised to the third power. Okay, so what does the property tell us to do? I'm going to multiply these guys. So it's going to be x cubed times 3, and I'm going to get y to the fifth times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 5 times 3 is 15. We'll add a little bit more to the next example. And so what if I had like x squared, z cubed, y cubed, all raised to the second power? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this 2, and I'm going to multiply it with all the exponents inside the parentheses. And so I'll end up with x squared times 2, z cubed times 2, all over y cubed times 2. And so when we go ahead and simplify our numbers here, or our values, 2 times 2 is 4, right? 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. And this is our final answer. Okay, and this is an explanation of our power of a quotient property.